There's Agro 360, an artificial intelligence program that analyzes crop conditions to improve agricultural productivity. And last is ScholarJet. It's a program that increased accessibility to STEM education resources and experiential learning through targeted scholarships. Unfortunately, as of this year, ScholarJet actually went under, but it was active for about 10 years. So when you are developing a commitment, there are 3 phases that everyone goes through. And you can enter at CGIU at any level of these commitments, as long as you have outlined exactly what your commitment is. You have the ideation phase where the concept is being formulated and perfected. You have the implementation phase where strategy kind of teams up with idea to generate action. And the scaling phase where details are very fine-tuned to hopefully expand your commitment and have a widespread rollout. So just to recap, the process begins when a student identifies a problem and wants to propose a solution. The student applies to CGIU or one of their affiliated programs with a commitment to action, and once the student is accepted, they are matched with a mentor. They participate in the social impact curriculum, are granted access to funding streams, and receive invitations to major networking events. As the student progresses through the program, they join a growing network, 10,000 strong, of commitment makers across the globe. If any of this interests you, here's the link for application, and there are several application resources that are actually offered through the CGIU website, including a commitment to action toolkit, which walks you through the entire process, as well as a clear rubric of how they assess who is and is not able to expand their commitment at the time of application. And there are prospective student information sessions and workshops offered up until the actual day of the due date on the 26th. The original due date was on January 21st. It has now been moved back to the 26th. So you can find all of these resources on their website, and here is their website, cgiu.org/apply. I'll also put it in the chat. And interviews will begin in February, and acceptances are announced in March. And once you get to March, you attend the week-long Zoom seminar, and you continue your program up and through December 2022. So that's kind of a nice cohesive overview of everything CGIU related. But yeah, thank you. I would like to turn the meeting over to, I'm not sure.
I'm going to jump in here real quick before we go to education abroad, just to say a couple of things, just to put a money figure. Our UAB has committed $5,000 to help support this. So however many people we get in, you're going to get some financial support from UAB, as well as all these other great things you get from CGIU. And just, we had 6 people who got into the virtual conference last year. And I'm just going to give you one example. Riley Fleming created this incredible marketing campaign to help people experiencing homelessness know about COVID and how to deal with it and different aspects of that. So she created a whole series of posters and designs with that and worked with CGIU on that last year, and had a very successful program. So just give you a UAB example of that, and lots of COVID related action plans. And also you're going to hear from Dr. Michelle Cook here later. She's been a great collaborator to help people sometimes write some of the material for this. So I'm sure she'll touch on that just a little bit, but I just wanted to segue that later. You're going to hear from her. So, and we'll be here after for questions. So I think we've about hit our time. Thanks, Cameron.
Can I add one more thing about CGIU? Just because the deadline is immediate, you don't need letters of recommendation. This application is all you and your idea, or your group's idea. So you don't need to like get anybody else on board to write a letter for you. So even though the deadline is like right now, it is still absolutely doable. And like Gareth said, I'm here to help you with the writing portion of your application too, if you need to. And I'll put my contact information in the chat when it's my turn. It's not my turn yet.
Well, thank you.
Gabrielle, if you want to go ahead and share your screen.
Yes. All right. Can everybody hear me? Awesome. Well, hi everyone. My name is Gabrielle Taylor. I am the Education Abroad Advisor here at UAB. I work with our director, Ashley Nair, to help get students studying, interning, service learning abroad. So I'm happy to kind of just give you a really brief, quick overview since there will be time for questions, so I'll keep it pretty general. But again, just start formulating questions you may have, and I'm happy to answer them. So, why should you study abroad? There's a lot of great reasons. I think the Sparkman Center in itself is a great source to help funnel these experiences. You get to experience this new culture, you earn credits towards your degree, and I believe that's possible for undergrad or graduates. You enhance your resume. Having that experience abroad is becoming more and more important as far as career advancements, even just being able to operate within a very diverse community or office even. It's really, really beneficial. And you have memories that you will not be able to stop talking about. So only about 10% currently of UAB students study abroad. So we're really working hard to open up this awareness of our office and the things that we can offer, whether it's more financially affordable programs, access to global internships. We're really wanting students to know that they have these opportunities. And there's so many places you can go. There are programs that we have specifically listed on our website. There's also other programs that you might be interested in. It's really, the sky is really the limit with opportunities you can have to study abroad. And it does not matter what your major is. It doesn't matter if you're undecided, if you know exactly, you want to be a doctor since you were 3. It does not matter. We can find a program for you that works. Whether you want to focus on taking some of those core curriculum courses, whether you are starting to look into maybe doing research abroad, or even if you want to do some service learning to get more of that fieldwork experience, we have something for you. So don't let that be the reason that you don't look for an education abroad program. And interesting to note, some of our top majors that study abroad, number 1 is public health. So a lot of students think that, oh, you have to do business, or it's only foreign languages or international affairs that do study abroad programs. Here at UAB, public health is the top major of students who are doing these different programs. Perhaps they're doing something in public health, or maybe they're taking core classes abroad and then able to come back to UAB and focus in on those public health courses. But students with that major are number 1. And depending on the country or location, you don't necessarily have to know the language. Some programs may offer a language course, or they may strongly suggest taking one to help you acclimate to where you are. But most of the programs that we definitely highlight are focused on taking courses in English, having that nice cohort of students, but being immersed in this other country and culture. So if you don't know another language, also not your reason for not doing a study abroad program. Okay, so the main thing, when can I go? I'm interested, I want to do something. What's my timeline looking like? So if you are a first-year student here, incoming, maybe this is your first semester or you're in your first year, we usually suggest either faculty-led or summer semester programs. So that is happening right now. Those applications are happening now. So if you're interested, start looking into those. Sophomore and junior year are the most ideal times to go, mainly because you have some more flexibility on what courses you may be wanting to take while abroad. And it gives you time to get those transcripts sent back to us so that then those can go towards your degree here at UAB. We do have some seniors that go abroad. It's doable, we can work with it, but it might take a little more legwork for both of us. but it's possible. So we have different type of programs here in our office. So one of them are our faculty-led programs. So these programs are through UAB. You are going to participate in a program with a faculty member here at UAB. You're going to be traveling, studying with other UAB students here. And a lot of these are much shorter. So if you feel like you've got your semesters super packed, fall and spring are kind of just out of the question, you can still do a program abroad. Look into faculty-led programs. They're usually 1 to 3 weeks abroad, and you're completing a course here at UAB. So sometimes the course is throughout the semester. For example, we have a couple that are listed under spring semester because you're taking courses right now, and then either your program is a week during spring break or right after the semester ends, then you're going abroad. So you're doing that coursework ahead of time and then participating in that travel. These are more easily fittable into different schedules, those tight schedules, especially something like a spring break, right? Or 3 weeks in May. So keep that in mind if you're feeling like, I can't do a whole semester, I can't do a whole year. Again, I'm debunking that reason for not studying abroad. You could do a faculty-led, have it done, you know a course is going to go towards your degree, and you're still having that experience in another country. So for these programs, the eligibility is you only need to have a 2.0 GPA. So you don't have to have a certain amount of credit hours completed here at UAB. You just need that minimum 2.0 GPA and then approval from faculty, which is part of our application process. So here's just a couple examples. I'm focusing mainly on global health since that's kind of our focus here today, but we have lots of other faculty-led programs as well. So these are just a couple that are coming up for the summer. We work with faculty every year to then create new programs or maybe renew programs that have already happened. So you want to constantly be checking in on that part of our website to see what faculty-led programs are going to be coming up. All right. Next, another option that we have are affiliate providers. So these are study abroad, education abroad companies that host a lot of different programs that we here at UAB work with very closely. So I have, as an advisor, I have access to different portals and all of this, and they're very much supported. You're going to have people on the ground in the country that you can work with, you can talk to, ask those questions, as well as, of course, our support here at UAB. Then you also get that built-in cohort of students. So they're not just UAB students. Maybe you're the only UAB student, but it's going to be other students at US universities here. And again, that can be for undergraduate or graduate. Some programs do offer graduate level courses, so you can look into those too. And here's just a couple examples. Again, focusing on global health, there is literally something for everyone. Foreign languages, there's internships, there's service learning. You can pair taking courses with service learning, tons of options. So one big one that we see a lot of consistent interest in is ISA. So that's one of our affiliate providers. They're Costa Rica, environmental studies, healthcare, liberal arts, and Spanish language. So maybe you're interested in continuing with Spanish, but you know you want to go into a health profession. This could be a great program where you get some of those courses. Maybe you're taking Spanish for health professionals, or maybe you're looking at some of the like specific situations going on within Spanish-speaking countries in health. You can kind of look at some of the courses they offer and think, this is really along the lines of what I'm interested in doing as a career. Some other examples are USAC, that's another one of our providers. They have a program in Thailand and they have a focus with health and wellness. So if you're interested in that vein of things with health, that could be an interesting program for you. Same thing with some nursing specific things. I think there's a program too that has courses in midwifery. I mean, there's everything. So again, no excuse. We are here to help you find that program. Right, and then also we have specific signature programs here at UAB that we have created. We've collaborated with different universities and affiliate providers to create these experiences. So one is our UAB in Wales program. So we are launching our first cohort of students going to Aberystwyth, Wales in the UK for this spring semester. The nice thing is tons of courses are already pre-approved. You just need to check to see if they're offered during that term. It is very cost effective, so it's cheaper than a semester tuition here at UAB for the program, and there's a lot of scholarships connected to this program as well. So we've worked really hard to promote, organize, get everything together, and we're really excited about it. So keep this in mind if you're looking for a semester-long program. And I believe grad students might be able to do that as well. I think there's some grad level courses, and that can be something I can look into if anyone is interested. There's also Neuro Scholars. So this is if you're like, I don't want to take courses, I want to research. I want to focus on research abroad. This is a fantastic one. If you're in neuroscience or psychology majors here, you could look into this program. It's through ISA. We've got 2 students, our first couple of students participating in this from UAB. This program's been around, but this is the first couple of students from our university that are participating. So we're very much excited for them too. And then Trio Abroad, this is for any student who's an active member of UAB Trio here on campus. We are creating a summer program for those students as well. Again, we work really hard to find those cost-effective programs if finances are of a concern to you. So with the couple minutes I have left, okay, how do I pay for this? What about affordability? That's the big question. So we have different options, and these are things we can talk with you more specifically about, but you can potentially use your financial aid or scholarships to apply towards paying for your program. Our office, Education Abroad, has scholarships as well that you can apply to, and there are national scholarships like Gilman, BOREN, Freeman Asia, lots of things, okay? And with our application, we try and make it very simple. It's only one. It auto pulls you into the different scholarships we have listed that you're eligible for, 2 very brief essay prompts that you fill in, and you can get potentially scholarships ranging from $750 to even up to $5,000, right? So there's lots of options here. And then for those national scholarships specifically, we have things like Gilman, which are for any Pell Grant eligible students to apply for. Critical language scholarship, if you're interested in focusing on a critical language while you're studying abroad, maybe you want to take some of those courses. That's a separate scholarship, could cover your entire program cost potentially. And BOREN, if you're interested in working at the federal level, working for the government, and interested in studying critical languages too. So those are some options here. And I know Michelle will talk a little bit more specifically about some of those. So I won't linger here. All right, so how do I get started? I want to do this. 3 easy steps. First, you can start browsing already at different programs. It's just educationabroad.uab.edu. You can start looking at things, looking at what's possible. If you start getting overwhelmed, don't stress. Either way, you should meet with our peer ambassador. These are your peers who have gone through this whole process. They've studied abroad. They know exactly what you need, questions you need to ask, what you need to look into. Just email us, again, educationabroad@uab.edu, and you set up that meeting, and then you start an application. Okay? And really quickly, there are disability support services available abroad. You can always email us to ask any specific questions. Those affiliate providers are definitely going to have that support if you're really needing that. All right. And follow us here, follow our Instagram. We're always posting application reminders, other scholarship opportunities, and you can email us at educationabroad@uab.edu. Thank you.
I think I'm next. Hi, I sound like garbage, sorry. I'm Dr. Michelle Cook. I run the Office of National and International Fellowships and Scholarships. So those awards that Gabrielle mentioned, the Critical Language Scholarship, for instance, the Gilman Scholarship, BOREN Awards, I'm going to talk about Fulbright a little bit. These nationally competitive awards, you have a whole office at UAB devoted to helping you with those applications and helping you navigate those processes. So I don't have fancy slides. I love your new slides, Gabrielle, by the way, they look really nice. I'm just going to show you a couple of websites. First, because I'm going to show you Gilman first. So Gilman is a bag of money to help support you studying abroad. Gabrielle talked about this a little bit. You need to be Pell eligible for Gilman. You need to be an undergraduate student for Gilman. And you need to be a US citizen, and you need to be doing a study abroad program that's credit bearing. It can be any length. It can be these faculty led programs where you're just abroad for a week. It can be a full semester. It can be a full year. It can be a summer, whatever you want with Gilman. Gilman has an upcoming deadline. Gilman does 2 application cycles each year, one in the fall for spring programs, summer programs, future programs, and one in the spring, which is upcoming. It's going to be at the very beginning of March. And that deadline is going to cover this coming up summer, this coming up fall, and next spring. So you see how there's some overlap. If you want a summer program, you could have applied for Gilman to cover your summer program back in the fall. And if you won, that's great. That's money ready, waiting for you. But if you didn't win, apply again in the spring. You get 2 bites of the apple for every potential semester you might be studying abroad with Gilman. The application is not difficult. There's no letter of recommendation, which is really wild. It's just a couple of essays. And guess what? I'm here to help you work on those essays, generate that content. Gabrielle and the Office of Education Abroad are here to help you find a program that meets your needs. The more details you have about that program, the better for your application. So Gilman Scholarship, a bag of money. If you're studying a critical need language, you unlock bonus money that might pay into your Gilman Scholarship. And the money that your financial aid package pays in is going to stack on top of your Gilman. Whatever scholarship money you're winning through UAB, and y'all, that's a humongous pile of money that is just available to you. Absolutely apply for it. That can stack on top of your financial aid, on top of your Gilman. And so if you think education abroad is super expensive, it can be, but y'all, it doesn't have to be. There's so much money you can apply for it, study abroad program. So Gilman is for undergrads. BOREN is another bag of money. I can put these links in the chat when I'm done. BOREN is another bag of money. BOREN is available to undergraduates. You would be doing a BOREN scholarship, or to graduate students, you would be doing a BOREN fellowship. You have the flexibility with BOREN, because it is a bag of money, to pick out your program, just like with Gilman. So you would work with Gabrielle in the Office of Education Abroad to find a program that meets your needs, to find a program that gets you that language study element. But then also, especially if you're a graduate student, you're doing a BOREN fellowship, you might be working on a research project. You might be chipping away at your thesis or your dissertation. You can do that as an undergraduate too, but the fellowship level is a little bit more flexible. BOREN wants to send you abroad, the longer the better. So if you're pitching a full semester or an academic year, that's good. You can pitch a summer program only if you're a STEM major. And guess what, public health? You're a STEM major as far as BOREN is concerned. We don't always get considered to be STEM when we're public health, but BOREN puts you in that category, which is great. So that's the only way you can unlock a summer program. I want to show you just real quick the list of languages that BOREN supports, because it's enormous and just buck wild. Scroll down, look at this. I haven't heard of some of these languages. This is bananas. This is great. So if you're wanting to study any of these languages, this is what BOREN wants to see. You can do Spanish with BOREN only if you are a super advanced Spanish speaker and you are pitching a program in South or Latin America. So you can't go to Spain with BOREN to do Spanish. You can do French with BOREN, again, only if you are an advanced speaker and you're pitching a program that's going to take you to an African country where they speak French, Senegal, for instance, something like that. You'll notice that some of these languages have AFLI, like AFLI, SAFLI, EFLI, TERFLI. They have all these other little fleas next to them. These are flagship language initiatives that these languages are kind of bucketed into. So AFLI is the African Flagship Languages Initiative. And these programs are cool because they have a stateside component and then an abroad component. And these programs are a little more curated for you. So it's more like you're applying to the program that BOREN has put together, and you don't have to worry about finding a program through Gabrielle or through Education Abroad. If you wanted to do Japanese or Arabic, which is always really popular with UAB students, then you would be finding your own program. BOREN has a lot of moving pieces and can be very confusing. So let me know if you want to think about this one, if you want to explore it further. BOREN is perfect for students who want to work in government or with government contractor type people later on. You do not have to commit to that sort of career, but BOREN is really interested in people who want that sort of public service element to their careers. So Gilman, bag of money for undergrads. BOREN, bag of money if you're doing language, also for undergrads, also for graduate students. And these deadlines are immediate. These deadlines do incorporate a letter of recommendation. So this would be kind of harder to get together, especially if you're a grad student. That door's closing. This would be harder to get together at this point, but if you still have time and you want to look at BOREN for next year, maybe you're going to be traveling in 2023, which is wild to think about. We can start talking about BOREN now. So BOREN has a little more planning at the back end than something like Gilman does. So that's 2 awards. Fulbright, I want to talk about real quick, is a very, very big, very flexible award. It's my favorite award to work with. Fulbright, to go on your Fulbright, you need undergraduate degree in hand. So Fulbright, our students tend to think of Fulbright as a gap year sort of thing. So they start shopping their options in spring of their junior year. So if you're a junior, what's up? That's right now. Let's talk about Fulbright. You apply in fall of your senior year. You find out in spring of your senior year whether you've won, what the situation is, and then you travel that next fall. Does that make sense? It's a lot of future planning, thinking when you're looking at kind of the Fulbright trajectory, but you're applying a full-on year in advance before you might be traveling. You can apply for Fulbright after you graduate. You're working a job, you're doing whatever. Cameron, let's talk about Fulbright for you. You're not enrolled in anything right now, right? You have an undergraduate degree and you're doing this really cool job. Maybe you're just gonna do Fulbright next year. Maybe come talk to me. But that's an example. You do not have to be enrolled actively to apply for Fulbright. You do for Gilman and you do for BOREN, but you don't for Fulbright. You can apply for Fulbright if you're working the way Cameron is. You can apply for Fulbright if you are a graduating senior, which I talked about. You can apply for Fulbright as you are a graduate student. So during your program, during your master's program, during your PhD program, you can hit pause on whatever's ongoing in your graduate degree program at UAB, go do your Fulbright for a year, come back, pick back up where you were in that program, either with coursework or dissertation writing or whatever, and then go on to graduate. So you can deploy your Fulbright in lots of different times. Fulbright can be super flexible with timing, but your Fulbright year is usually going to be an academic year, a fall into a spring. Fulbright lets you do 3 main things, and I'll go through these really quickly. You can teach English with Fulbright, but you don't necessarily need to be an education person or an English person to do that. You can, although it certainly helps for some countries, you can study with Fulbright, so you can put together a really cool bespoke year of just courses and you're not doing a degree with Fulbright. We've not had anybody do that yet, and I just think it sounds amazing. So I pitch it every time I talk to students. You can also pursue a one-year master's degree, then be one and done with your Fulbright. You can also start a longer degree program with your Fulbright, start a 2-year master's degree, start a PhD program. We've had students do this. You can also research with Fulbright, which is really interesting. If you're doing the Neuro Scholars program, for instance, or you're doing a study abroad program as an undergraduate, you join a lab overseas and you have a great connection with that lab's PI and, you know, kind of the environment at this host university. You do this really fun thing as an undergrad, you come back, you maybe return to that same lab on a Fulbright. For a research Fulbright, you would need what we call an affiliate or a research mentor at a foreign institution who's going to give you space, make sure you have access to whatever materials or machinery you might need, populations you might need to access, data sets, whatever. And you go and you do work with that person. You do a project of your own design, but you're also joining a lab in progress. So you're able to bring your expertise into their lab and, you know, kind of join their research group as a visiting researcher, which is a really cool thing. We've had students do research as an undergraduate on just a study abroad program. Rumi Meyer is a really good example. She was a neuroscience major. She studied abroad in Norway at the University of Oslo, joined a lab, loved it, had the best time, came back, applied for Fulbright to go back to that same lab. And then she won Fulbright and now she's living her best life at Brown, getting her PhD. I think she's at Brown, that sounds right. Anyway, connections you make while you're doing study abroad as an undergrad can pay dividends on a Fulbright application, especially if you're wanting to do research. The Fulbright application for this next application cycle will open March 31st. I'm in the process of getting some info sessions happening for Fulbright because you can do just about anything with Fulbright just about anywhere in the world. And so because of that, there's a lot of moving parts and there's a lot of, some countries might let you do this and some countries might want to see this other thing. So you can have, you know, 3 students win a research Fulbright, but they're doing wildly different things because they're going to 3 different countries. So Fulbright's big, it can be overwhelming, it has a lot of moving parts, but I'm here to help you figure all of this out. I'm here to help you kind of shop your options and see what you might want to do. Gilman info session coming up February 17th. We don't know what time yet, but we'll figure out a time and blast it over social media. That's fine. Fulbright info sessions will be coming up starting in March on through the summer. The next Fulbright deadline is going to be this coming up October. And then BOREN, that deadline is always in the spring. So if you want to think about, you know, applying for BOREN, start kind of shopping your options in the fall semester before you would apply. Again, I'm Dr. Michelle Cook. I'm the fellowships director. I'm going to put these links and my contact information in the chat, and I'm going to shut up so y'all can ask some questions.
Dr. Cook, there is one question about international students.
Perfect.
Are they eligible for Fulbright or?
Not for these awards, unfortunately. There are awards available to international students. There's a flavor of Fulbright available to international students, but it comes through the country that holds your passport. And I think the foreign Fulbright is a little less flexible than the US student program, which is what I just explained. But we can certainly get together and talk about that if you're an international student and you're wanting to look for some funding to go abroad. There are funding things available. We've got a really good database at UAB called Pivot. I'll hunt up that link and put it in the chat. And that's a really good resource because that can give you buckets of money for research or travel or whatever, but it also opens up so you can search if you're an international student. It gives you kind of more options. But unfortunately, the awards I talked about here are open only to US citizens. Sorry, international folks, but there are awards for international folks.
I'm going to turn it over to Katie just for a few minutes. She's going to kind of talk about the opportunities we have within Sparkman, summer internships specifically.
Hello, friends. I am Katie Adams and I'm program manager in the Sparkman Center. And I just wanted to quickly point folks to some of the applications that we have open right now. I'm showing you via our website. If you go to funding and then internships abroad, it will, once my computer loads, take you to a wonderful page describing the positions that we have open this summer. It's coming. It's getting there. I believe in it. Okay. The current deadline for internship applications is a week from today, Friday, January 28th. These are open to all UAB students. International students are also eligible to apply for these scholarships, these internships. And there's details here below each one. We have one position open with the Center for Infectious Disease Research in Zambia, 1 to 2 with the National Masai Conservancy in the Masai Mara of Kenya, a spot with Koç University School of Medicine in Istanbul, Turkey, and 1 to 2 positions with the Sunrise Center in Uganda. So if you click read more, it'll download a PDF for you with details about the different positions. We are planning these as in-person positions, and provided that students get to travel, the Sparkman Center will provide you with a $3,000 travel stipend to support your travel and your accommodations while you're there. So really encourage you to check these out and apply. We've got examples from past years of internships, and then if you scroll down, the form to apply is right here. You don't need letters of recommendation. You do need to tell us which sites you're most interested in. You'll rank those. And if you plan to get credit, we've had many master's students, especially MPH students, do their internship for their MPH program. And then you're gonna submit an essay with 2 parts, your updated resume and your unofficial transcript. That is that.
Yeah, and like Katie said, our internships are open to graduate students. If you are completing the MPH and need the internship credit. And Gabrielle, is our ISA and USAC those internships for graduate students as well?
Yes, I believe you can. I can double check, but I
I
think they're
think that-
available.
Yeah, I think that you can do that as well as a graduate student. So internships, and then the scholarships are the same as a graduate student. You can apply for
Yes,
those
they
as
can
well.
apply to our office's scholarships as an undergrad or graduate student.
And I can answer that question. This is Anna Harula, Deputy Director of Sparkman Center. So you may apply for the Education Abroad Scholarship as long as you are taking the internship as a credit-bearing class. So if you are not involved in any class, let's say the practicum or capstone or individual experiences, then you are not eligible for additional scholarship. But the $3,000 is presumed to cover all of your costs associated with the internship to this location. Or at least a good bit of it.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Katie?
Oh, I just said, thanks, Dr. Hello.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so what she said, if anyone didn't hear, as long as you're getting credit for your internship, you can apply to the Education Abroad scholarships, just as long as it's credit bearing. Okay, we have about 10 minutes left. If anyone has any questions, you can either pop it in the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself and ask, that's also awesome. I think that everyone that's presented has put in links and emails and all that in the chat. So just make sure that before we leave, if you want any of that information, to grab that. All right. So Gareth, this one is probably going to go to you. So if the student plans to graduate in August of 2022, are they still eligible for the Clinton?
Yes, it is open to graduate students as well. Absolutely. We've had students do that in the past. So great question. We'd love to talk to you about that.
And what's the timeline for that? Applications I know are due in January.
26th. Well, CGIU is the 26th of this month. Yeah, so it's right around the corner, next Wednesday. So, but there is time, as Michelle said earlier, you know, and as we showed in the presentation, you can be at any stage with your action plan. And if you're just at the ideation, you have an idea, you can still apply. You don't have to have, you know, be all the way at another level. So, and you don't need letters of rec. But we still want to help you craft that that application. So Dr. Cook is fantastic at that, and our office is happy to help you as well. So there's still time, even though it is next Wednesday. There absolutely still time to apply for this year.
Yeah, I think just to mention, I know some education abroad programs and are coming up February 1st, and then like Katie said, our application is due the end of this month, but a lot of these can be done in the time frame that you have left. So yeah, don't let that deter you if you are interested in going sooner rather than later.
Maybe don't try to apply for all of them in the time remaining. But if you pick one or two, I believe in you.
Or you can plan well ahead and apply next year.
Yeah.
Right.
Also that, yeah.
Very true. If you don't want to fly by the seat of your pants. Yep.
Yeah.
Someone also
And
asked.
I would like to mention that if you are ABROAL Fellow or you were ABROAL Fellow last year of the Sparkman Center, we are starting to offer methodological help and consultation. So please reach out to me, and Carmen can put my email address in the box. So we are starting with our fellows. We hope to extend that to other students in the future, but we are starting with our fellows. So there would be mixed methods, quantitative and qualitative methodology and evaluation.
Yep, there's her contact information. Does the Clinton count for internship?
So it itself is not credit bearing or anything like that, but I could definitely see someone who creates this wonderful action plan that could lead into it, but that would have to be a discussion with your advisor, your academic advisor, as to whether that could be expanded and finding a mentor, or, you know, however your internship credit works. But CGIU itself is just separate. But it definitely, I think you could take that and, you know, move it into something else. Absolutely. It can be used in lots of different ways.
I will add, since earlier there's a question about international students, as long as you are a UAB student here, you're registered as a UAB student, whether you're coming locally or internationally, you can participate in study abroad programs. Again, they just need to be credit bearing for our office. So you need to be getting credits that will transfer back. But we have students that are, maybe they're permanent residents here and they're wanting to study abroad, and they do. So we definitely have students that, international students that participate.
Gabrielle, there's internship opportunities available abroad for people, right?
Absolutely. As long as you're getting internships, sometimes the service learning could come back as field work credit, for example, based on what the program is. As long as you're getting that credit transferred back, it is totally possible.
And like Dr. Cook mentioned earlier, there are different info sessions available. So I know that what she talked about was scholarships and fellowship wise, but there's also info sessions for education abroad every week if you are interested in going that route. Just again, make sure you're grabbing the contact information in this chat so you can keep up with that as well. But we try to share everything through multiple channels on social media if one office is having an event or that sort of thing. So that's another good way to keep tabs. Okay, so 2 questions. One about visa or international students. That might be an ISS. So there's an office on campus. Gabrielle, you can talk about it.
Sure. So I call them our like mirrored counterparts in the ISS office. So that will be where you need to go for any questions about visas, because we don't deal with those within our office because we're sending students out. But you can reach out to them, and I'll look for their email and put in the chat. Whoever needs it.
Yeah. Here is the website for it's International Student and Scholar Services. They're in Stern as well, very close to Education Abroad. And then planning ahead, how early do new programs, host sites, are they posted for Sparkman Center?
Our goal is typically to post new internship placements by the end of the calendar year for the next summer. Sometimes that means we announce them early January, but we do have, you can look through like the partners we're working with this summer and the past couple summers, and you're gonna see some familiar faces. And so while we do offer new opportunities, you can also have an idea of folks that we work with pretty often. Yeah.
Some reoccurring locations.
I mean, when you have a good thing going, students
Right?
having
Why
great
mess it up?
experiences, why reinvent the wheel?
Yeah.
Yeah. Quality and quantity.
Another really cool thing about one of our sites this year in Kenya is the Sparkman Center is having an intern there, but that's also the location of a study abroad program. So if you were to apply to either one of those, you would be working with the other, if that makes sense. So if you were the Sparkman intern, you would be working kind of with what the UAB Education Abroad group is doing. So that's really cool.
The co-founders of that organization of the National MSI Conservancy, Nelson and Maggie, will be speaking at a seminar Wednesday about healthcare access for folks in their area. So definitely recommend you check that out. The link to register is all over our social media. It's co-sponsored with the Lister Hill Center for Health Policy and the Office of Public Health Practice in the School of Public Health. So the link is out there.
Yeah. All right, well, we are nearing time. I'll stay just a few minutes late in case anyone needs to still get anything from the chat or you have any last minute questions. But you can also just email us at the Sparkman Center and we can direct you to the person you need, or you can find their information online.